the solution challenge?
Let's do this.
Okay, I'll present my screen.
Welcome to the Google Developer Student Club's 2021 Solution Challenge. The mission of this challenge is to use Google technology to solve for one of the United Nations' 17 Sustainable Development Goals, aiming to end poverty, ensure prosperity, and protect the planet. Win cool prizes, mentorship from Google, and swag. Get help along the way from Google at training events, code labs, and hackathons. Submit your solution by March 31st, 2021. Register today. We can't wait to see what you build.
Let's get started.
I'm really excited about this summit because I get to learn a lot of new stuff, and DSC really helps me to identify and make my skills grow.
DSCs are university-based student groups that come together and learn Google technology from each other.
In DSC, I could not only learn about technical skills related about technology, but also here I could learn about soft skills like leadership, communication, and also mentoring.
I've been developing NLP-based web applications at school, and with the Google technologies I learned at the summit, I'm looking forward to taking my project to the next level.
We expanded developer student clubs this year to more universities and more countries across Southeast Asia. It is this summit where their journey begins. Over the next 2 days, DSC leads learn vital technical, problem-solving and leadership skills from Googlers and industry experts before they go back to their universities to train more students, build projects and contribute back to the community.
The most memorable part of this summit is when we met other DC leads from different countries, learning their culture and sharing the same goal, and that is helping our fellow students with the use of technology.
The sessions that was most useful for me was how to build community, how to focus and respect the audience.
It's crucial that students are able to see the big picture and prepare themselves for their professional career. And that's what DSC does. It gives them a path for the future.
The DSC journey helped me build my passion in one area of technology and grow my career.
We want you to start connecting with, understand your community, understand your university, see what's going on in your city, talk to businesses, talk to NGOs, talk to your university, identify problem statements, and then work as a group to solve those problems and actually build solutions.
I'd like to make sure that no one in my community is left behind.
We're so excited to work with you all DSC leads from across the region, to see your career grow and support you solve local problems and create impact in your communities.
Hi everyone, good evening. I am Louise Neypes, and I am the acting lead of the Developer Student Club, AMACC Computer College Caloocan, and I will be your guide or facilitator for today's Code Lab about Firebase Web. So sa Code Lab na ito, matututunan natin kung paano natin may integrate yung Firebase products by deploying a chat client. So ang matututunan natin ngayon is kung paano mag-synchronize ng data gamit yung Cloud Firestore and cloud storage. Matututunan din natin kung paano mag-authenticate using the Firebase authentication. Matututunan din natin kung paano mag-deploy ng web app using the Firebase hosting. We'll also learn kung paano mag-send ng notification gamit ang Firebase Cloud Messaging and kung paano natin kokolektahin yung performance ng ating web app. So sa Codelab na ito, meron tayong mga ilang bagay na kailangan bago tayo mag-start sa ating coding. Una is text editor such as Atom, Sublime, or VS Code. Kakailanganin din natin ng package manager such as the NPM, and it usually comes kapag nag-install kayo ng Node.js. Kakailanganin din natin ng access sa ating terminal or console, a web browser of your choice such as Google Chrome, and of course, yung sample code from the Codelab. So ipapakita ko muna sa inyo yung magiging final output natin. So ito ang magiging itsura ng ating web app. As you can see, meron kayong interface dito kung saan pwede kayong mag-type ng message. May ability rin kayo makapag-upload ng image. So for now, we will type, "Hello, welcome to the Solution Challenge Exploration." And then tingnan natin kung ano mangyayari kapag sinend natin yung message. So as you can see, mara-reflect dito yung message na sinend natin. And we also have the ability to sign out, kung saan kapag nag-type tayo ng message is hindi siya masisend kasi kailangan natin mag-sign in. We also cannot upload image kasi kailangan yung authenticated users lang ang may ability na makapag-send ng images and messages. Ang next step naman natin is to get the sample code na nasa step 2 ng ating Web Codelab. So you have two options. You can use git clone to install the repository, or kung wala naman kayong GitHub account, you can just download the repository as a zip file. So antayin lang natin matapos yung cloning natin ng Friendly Chat Web repository. And this repository contains the sample projects na gagamitin natin sa ating Codelab ngayon. So let's just open yung directory. And as you can see, meron tayong makikita na web folder and web start na folder. Ngayon, yung web start na folder, this contains the starting code na kakailanganin natin during our activity rito sa Codelab. And then, yung web directory naman natin, this contains the complete code for the finished sample app. Our next step is to create and set up a Firebase project. So, punta lang tayo sa browser natin and let us type the Firebase console. And then we will sign in sa Firebase. And since naka-sign in na ako sa Firebase console, what we will do next is to click Add Project. So let's start with a name for the project. And ang i-enter lang natin is Friendly Chat. And then we'll click Next. And then itong mga next step, i-click lang natin yung Continue. And then we'll just accept the terms and conditions. And then let's create the project. So kung mapapansin nyo kanina, nung tinype natin yung Friendly Chat, meron siyang text sa ilalim stating Friendly Chat dash a series of numbers. This is just a unique identifier to how your project will be actually identified sa CLI. Whereas yung Friendly Chat, ito lang yung ating display name. So, nice to know lang siya. And let's just wait for our project to be created. Let's just click Continue. Ayan. So, mariredirect na tayo sa ating ginawa na friendly chat project. Ang next step naman natin is to add a Firebase web app to the project. So what we'll do next is to click the web icon to create a new Firebase web app. And then register natin yung app natin and pangalanan natin ito na friendly chat. And then we'll also set up the Firebase hosting for this app. So again, meron siyang friendly chat, dashing series of numbers. Ito lang yung unique identifier na sinet kanina when we created our project. And after, let's just select that and click Register App. And let's just wait for it. And for the remaining steps, i-click lang natin yung Next kasi gagawin din natin ito sa mga susunod nating instructions sa Codelab. So once we added the Firebase web app dito sa project natin, what we'll do next is to enable Google Sign-in for Firebase authentication. This is to allow users to sign in sa web app natin gamit yung Google accounts nila. And therefore, we will use the Google Sign-in method. So let's go lang sa Build section sa left panel and then click Authentication. Click lang natin yung Get Started. And then sa sign-in method, we will just look for the Google sign-in provider and then we'll click Enable. Tapos, yung email lang dito is usually the developer's email, which is the email that you used for signing in dito sa console natin. So let's just select that. And then we will click Save. So ang next step naman natin is yung step 5 sa ating Codelab number 3 instructions kung saan i-configure natin yung OAuth consent screen sa Google Cloud Console. So, i-click nyo lang yung link na nun sa number 5 and mariredirect kayo sa OAuth consent screen. So, let's just click Create Project. And lalagay ko lang sa project name is Friendly Chat. So itong series of numbers, unique identifier lang din siya. Para malaman natin na sa atin talaga naka-assign yung project na yun. Kasi maaring mayroong ibang tao na gumawa ng friendly chat na ito. So ang identifier para malaman na unique sa atin yung friendly chat na ito is through that series of numbers. And then we'll create. So antayin lang natin matapos mag-load. So makikita yung notification na tapos na pag-create ng project. And then what we will do is we will select the project. So for the user type, we selected yung internal. And then kay app name, i-type lang natin yung friendly chat. Sa email, usually it's the developer's email. So ilagay nyo lang din yung email na ginamit nyo for sign in. And then sa developer contact information is usually your email ulit. Ito yung lumalabas sa screen nyo na asking for the permission to access Google account. Ito yung responsible nun. So let's just save and continue. And for the remaining steps, we will just click save and continue. And then let's go back to the dashboard. Yan. So once nagawa na natin siya, let us return sa ating Firebase console. Ang next step naman natin is we will enable the Cloud Firestore. So sa build section, click natin yung Cloud Firestore. And we will click the Create Database. So once we click the Create Database, we will select the Start in Test Mode. So test mode ensures that we can freely write to the database during the development. Tapos, mamaya gagawin nating mas secure yung database natin in the later part of the code lab. For now, we will just use test mode. And then let's click next. And then state lang natin yung location kung saan natin i-store yung ating Cloud Firestore. Pwedeng default or we can choose the region closest to us. And para sa atin, ang region na pinakamalapit sa atin is the Asia Southeast 2. So after nun, let's click Enable to provision yung Firestore sa atin. So itong Firestore, ito yung gagamitin natin to save our chat messages and to receive new chat messages. So ito yung magiging database natin for the structured data. So let's just wait for it to finish. Yeah. After nyan, mariredirect tayo rito wherein you can see that you can add data dito sa Cloud Firestore natin. Then our next step is to enable cloud storage. And yung cloud storage, it is just used to store, upload, and share pictures. So dahil test mode yung pinili natin kanina, yung default security rules niya is that any authenticated user can write anything dito sa ating cloud storage. And gagawin natin siyang mas secure sa later part ng code lab na ito. So after we set up our Cloud Firestore and cloud storage, we are ready to move on sa ating step number 4. So, ang next step naman natin is to install the Firebase command line interface. The Firebase command line interface, this allows us na magamit yung Firebase hosting para ma-deploy natin yung web app natin sa ating local machine and para ma-deploy din natin yung web app natin sa ating Firebase project. So, to install yung Firebase CLI, kailangan muna na meron tayong NPM na naka-install sa mga local machines natin. That typically comes with Node.js. So para ma-install natin yung CLI, let's just run the following command, which is the npm-g install Firebase tools. And let's just wait for it na ma-install yung Firebase CLI natin. And this will depend on our internet connection. So maaring mas mabilis sa inyo, mas matagal sa akin. And let's just wait for it na matapos ang installation. So after natin siya ma-install, ang gagawin naman natin next is i-verify natin kung na-install ba natin ng tama yung CLI natin. And we will do that by running the following command, which is the Firebase -- version. It may take a while para mag-appear yung version number niya. And then make sure that the version of the Firebase CLI is version 4.1 or yung later versions niya. And in my case, it is version 9.3. So ang next step naman natin is to authorize the Firebase CLI by running the Firebase login. And then it will ask you if you will allow Firebase to collect CLI usage, and we'll just type Y for yes. Yeah, so it will ask for authentication and mariredirect tayo sa ating browser kung saan Firebase is asking permission to use the Firebase CLI. So let's just use yung account na ginamit natin sa Firebase console sign-in. And then let's just allow the Firebase CLI to access this Google account. So once nakita nyo na yung success message na ito, the Firebase CLI login is successful na. So make sure that the command line is accessing the web start directory. So to do that, we'll just type cd, then web start. Sa case ko, meron pa pala siyang isang folder which is yung Codelab-friendly chat. So yun ang gagawin ko, change directory to that folder and then yung web start folder natin. So once na nandito tayo sa directory na to, we will associate our app with the Firebase project by running the following command, Firebase use --add. So ngayon dito, papipiliin ka niya kung anong project yung gusto mong i-add. And then, we'll just select our friendly chat. And to navigate pala yung mga projects na ito, let's just click arrow key. And then enter para ma-select yung project na yon. And then sa alias, it is useful to have alias if you have multiple environments. Pero sa Codelab na ito, let's just use the default alias. Ang next step naman natin is to run the starter app locally. So now that we have imported and configured our project, we are now ready to run our web app for the first time. So to do that, make sure na nasa web start directory kayo, and then we'll type Firebase serve -- only hosting. And then your terminal should display this following response. So ang ginagamit natin is yung Firebase hosting emulator para ma-serve natin yung web app natin sa local machine natin. So the web app should be available, and in my case is a local host 5000 na port, and all of those files na located sa public subdirectory, yun yung currently na nasa-serve. So let's just go to our browser and open yung link na na-generate. And you should now see your friendly chat apps user interface, which is not yet functioning. But as you can see, pwede ka mag-sign in. May field dito wherein you can enter your chat messages. You also have the button to send an image picker para makapag-upload ka. So our application cannot do anything right now. But ito yung purpose ng Codelab natin ngayon, is to put functionality into this friendly chat. And let's now build our real-time chat web app. Ang next step naman natin is to import the Firebase SDK, and may two ways tayo para gawin yon. First, we can import the library with the CDN or install using the npm. So punta tayo sa ating web start directory, then public, and then index.html. Since we are using Firebase hosting to serve our app, we're just going to import the local URLs sa ating index.html. For this Codelab, it is already added. So tingnan na lang natin sa ilalim kung para ma-double check ito. So you should be seeing the Firebase authentication, Cloud Firestore, Cloud Storage, Cloud Messaging, and Performance Monitoring. So since yun yung gagamitin natin, yun yung mga libraries na in-import natin. So sa future, make sure that you're only importing the parts of the Firebase na kailangan nyo lang gamitin to shorten the load time sa app ninyo. So we also need to configure the Firebase SDK to tell which Firebase project yung ginagamit natin. And then, since we are using the Firebase hosting, pwede tayong mag-import ng special script that will do this configuration for us. And since kasama na ito sa code na na-generate when we downloaded or cloned our apps, ito ang purpose ng ating init.js. And the script contains the Firebase configuration project based on the Firebase use --add na ginawa natin kanina sa ating terminal. Ang next step naman natin is to set up user sign-in using the Firebase authentication. So sa VS Code natin, let's just go to our WebStart directory and then sa public, scripts, and then yung main.js natin. What we will do first is to authenticate users with Google Sign-in. So let's locate yung function natin na sign-in. Let's grab the code from the step 7 ng Firebase Web Codelab for the sign-in and then paste natin dito sa VS Code. What this code does is kapag pinindot ni user yung sign in with Google button, matitrigger yung sign in function. And sa Codelab na ito, we want to authorize Firebase to use Google as the identity provider. After nang sa sign in, let's do the sign out function naman. So balik ulit tayo sa Codelab, instructions, and then copy natin yung code for the sign out function, then paste natin dito sa VS Code natin. And what this code does is, kapag kinlik ni user yung button na sign out, matitrigger yung function na ito that will sign the user out. And then, after naman neto, let's do the tracking of the authentication state. So ano ba ibig sabihin nito? Kailangan natin makahanap ng way para ma-check natin kung naka-sign in ba si user or hindi. Depende sa state niya kung naka-sign in ba siya or hindi, yung update na mangyayari sa UI natin. So kapag naka-sign in siya, kailangan makita natin yung sign out button. Kapag naka-sign out naman siya, kailangan natin makita yung sign in button. And we do this by calling the on-auth state changed. Ang next naman natin is to display the information of the sign-in user. So we want to display yung profile picture and yung username ng user natin na naka-sign in dun sa top part ng ating application. And we can do that by getting the photo URL of the current user for the get profile pic URL na function. And then for the get username function naman, we can do that by getting the display name of the current user. Ang next step naman natin is we can display an error message if a user tries to send a message without being signed in. So punta tayo sa function natin na is user signed in and let's just paste this code. So what this code does is chine-check niya lang kung yung current user na nag-send ng message na yon is naka-sign in. Kung hindi naman siya naka-sign in, maglalabas siya ng toast message na you must sign in first in order for you to send that message. So ang next naman natin is we will test kung mag-work ba tong mga ginawa natin. So if your app is being served, refresh nyo lang yung browser nyo. Otherwise, i-run nyo uli yung Firebase serve -- only hosting sa command line para ma-serve yung applications nyo locally. And then, open nyo siya sa browser. So, ito yung ating user interface. So, pag nag-type tayo ng message and we try sending it, hindi natin siya magagawa. So, we must sign in. So once signed in, we can send our message. Pero hindi natin masend yung message kasi wala pa naman tayong functionality na nagagawa kung ano mangyayari kapag kinlik natin yung send button. Pero mapapansin nyo dun sa upper right corner natin na nag-update yung profile picture natin and yung name natin nung nag-sign in tayo sa web app natin. Ang next step naman natin is to write messages to Cloud Firestore. And in this section, we will add the functionality na we allow the users to write new messages sa ating database. And we can do that by going to the save message function. So retrieve lang natin yung code na nasa step 8 ng ating Firebase Web Codelab under Add Messages to Cloud Firestore and paste natin kay VS Code. So ang ginagawa ng code na ito is every time na i-click ni user yung send button, matitrigger itong function na ito. So ang particular na ita-target niya is yung messages collection sa ating Firebase Firestore. And then yung add method, mag-a-add lang siya ng new document with an automatically generated ID dun sa collections natin. So balik lang tayo uli sa ating web app to see if we can add messages. We'll just type in hello and then let's click enter to send. So saan napunta yung message natin? So let's type another message again. And then enter lang natin ulit. So you must be wondering kung saan napupunta yung messages natin, bakit hindi siya nakikita. First of all is hindi pa tayo nag-a-add ng functionality na mababasa natin yung mga messages na sinend natin through the chat app UI. So ngayon, ang gawin natin is i-check natin siya sa ating Firestore. So let's go to the Cloud Firestore under the build section. And then you'll see here yung messages collection natin na merong generated ID for each document. And then you can see yung messages na sinend natin. And then this one din, to which you can change yung values directly dito sa Firestore natin. Ang next naman natin is to read the messages. Ngayon, to read the messages sa app natin, kailangan natin magdagdag ng mga listeners na matitrigger kapag nagkaroon ng changes sa data. And gagawa tayo ng bagong UI element na magpapakita ng mga bagong messages na iyon. So, punta tayo sa Firebase Web Codelab natin na sa step 9 under the load messages function. Let's just copy the code and paste sa VS Code. And then fix lang natin yung alignment. So, ang ginagawa ng code na ito is gumawa siya ng query kung saan ang tina-target niyang collection is yung messages collection natin since doon naka-reside yung chat messages natin. So, doon siya makikinig kung meron bang changes na nangyari sa messages collection. And then, meron din tayo ritong order by na timestamp and descending order para makita lang natin yung newest messages. And we are also applying a limit na 12 para yung 12 newest messages lang yung makita natin. And then, meron tayong ditong tinatawag na on snapshot function, which is a callback function na matitrigger kapag meron lang changes na nangyari dun sa document natin na nagmamatch dun sa query na ginawa natin. And yung changes na ito is pwedeng yung message ay ma-delete, ma-modify, or ma-add. So, once na na-copy nyo na yung code, let's just save it and then punta lang ulit tayo sa browser natin. Let's just reload our web application. And then, as you can see, yung mga tinype natin kanina is reflected na rito sa UI natin. Meaning, yung function na ginawa natin kanina for load messages is working na. Pati yung changes na ginawa natin kanina sa database is nag-reflect rin dito sa UI natin. So, let's add another message. Welcome to DSC. And then, let's just check sa console natin kung pumasok ba yung message na yun. So, as you can see, yung tinype natin is na-record siya rito sa ating Firestore. So congratulations, you have utilized the Cloud Firestore documents dito sa ating web app kung saan we can store and read messages from our database. Ang next naman natin is we'll add a feature that shares images. So ang Cloud Firestore, it is good for storing structured data. Ang cloud storage naman is better suited for storing files. And we will use this to store images na shinare ni users sa ating web app. So to save images sa ating cloud storage, let's just go to the Save Image Message function sa ating Firebase Web Codelab step 10 and copy natin yung code from there and paste lang natin dito kay VS Code. So ang ginagawa ng code na ito is gumagawa siya ng placeholder chat message dun sa chat feed natin kung saan may kita ni user yung loading animation habang ina-upload yung image. Ngayon, yung image na iyon is ma-upload siya dun sa cloud storage. And then, once uploaded, mag-generate siya ng publicly readable URL for that particular image file. And then, kapag okay na yun, mag-update yung chat message with the newly uploaded image files URL in replacement dun sa temporary loading image na placeholder natin kanina. So, kapag na-paste nyo na yung code from the code lab, let's just save our file. And then, let's switch sa browser natin. So, let's just reload our UI. And then, try natin mag-upload ng picture. And then, ito yung loading file. And once tapos na siya ma-upload, yung loading file na iyon is replace na siya nung image na in-upload natin. So, check natin yung cloud storage. Kung na-save ba yung file natin. So as you can see here, ito yung file na in-upload natin sa ating web app and nag-reflect siya rito sa ating cloud storage. Now we'll add support for browser notifications using the Firebase Cloud Messaging, kung saan manonotify yung mga users natin kapag may mga bagong messages na dumating sa ating chat. So sa web start directory natin, open natin yung manifest.json. And then, add natin yung GCM sender ID na makikita natin dito sa step 11 ng Firebase Web Codelab natin. Itong GCM sender ID na ito, yung hard-coded value na nag-i-indicate na authorized si FCM na mag-send ng messages or notification sa application natin. Ang next step naman natin is kailangan natin mag-add ng service worker na magre-receive at magdi-display ng web notifications. And we can do that by creating a file called firebase-messaging-sw.js. And then, paste lang natin yung code na nasa code lab. So the service worker simply needs to load and initialize the Firebase Cloud Messaging SDK, which will take care of displaying the notifications. Let's just save the file. And then we will return sa ating main.js na makikita sa ating public directory and then scripts folder. So when notifications have been enabled sa browser, you will be given a device token. And itong device token na ito yung ginagamit to send a notification to that particular browser. So para magawa natin yung functionality na iyon, punta tayo sa Save Messaging Device Token na function. And then, paste natin yung code from the Codelab. However, hindi mag-work agad yung code na ito. Kasi for the application to retrieve the device token, kailangan i-grant ni user ng app permissions yung browser na iyon to show the notifications. So, how we will do that? We will do that by using the request notification permission function. So, paste natin yung code. So, ang ginagawa ng code na ito is kapag hindi mo pa ginagrant yung browser mo na magpakita ng notifications, hindi ka niya bibigyan ng device token. So, only when you accept or allow the notification, dun mo lang makukuha yung device token. And yung device token na iyon, yung kailangan natin para doon siya magsisend ng notifications kasi it distinguishes na yung particular na device lang na iyon yung bibigyan niya ng message. So, save natin yung file. And then, let's go lang sa ating web app ulit and let's reload. After nyo ma-reload, open nyo lang yung console ng browser nyo. And dapat makikita nyo yung message na nagsasabi na got FCM device token. And then series of numbers and letters. Make sure na i-copy nyo yung device token na iyon and then save it lang like sa notepad. Kasi gagamitin natin siya later when we send a notification to your device. So, once nakopy nyo na siya, kunin naman natin yung server key natin na makikita natin sa ating Firebase console. So, to get that, punta tayo sa Firebase console, and then project settings, and then cloud messaging. Tapos makikita nyo na doon yung server key. So after natin ma-save yung ating server key and yung device token natin, kailangan na natin mag-send ng HTTP request. And to do that, we will use the curl command. If wala naman kayong curl na naka-install sa mga machine nyo, you can install or you can use an online service like recbin. Beware lang na sharing your server key with a third-party service may not be secure, and make sure na i-refresh nyo yung server key nyo after testing and development. So, paste lang natin yung curl command na nasa Firebase Web Codelab natin. And don't forget to replace the server key and the device token. So, once you run the file, milalabas siya na 200 status, and if yung friendly chat nyo is nagra-run lang sa background, you should be able to see the notifications right away. So kung hindi nyo naman nakita yung notifications, make sure that you navigate away or mag-display kayo ng another tab. Basta dapat nasa background lang yung friendly chat. And kung nagawa nyo man iyon and wala pa rin notifications, make sure na tama yung server key and yung device token na nilagay nyo dun sa curl command. Ang next naman natin is to update the Cloud Firestore security rules. The Cloud Firestore uses a specific rules language to define access rights, security, and data validations. Nung sinet up natin yung Firebase project natin kanina, ang pinili natin is test mode. And yung test mode na iyon is meron siyang default security rules na hindi nagre-restrict ng access sa data store natin. So, punta lang tayo sa ating Firebase console. And dun sa database section, punta tayo dun sa rules tab, kung saan pwede natin ma-view and ma-modify yung mga rules na iyon. And then let's just replace this default rules with the code na stated sa step 12 ng ating Firebase Web Codelab. So ang restriction na nangyari dito is anyone can read yung messages natin, pero yung mga authenticated users lang yung pwedeng mag-add and edit ng messages natin. And then hindi ka rin pwedeng mag-delete. And then meron ding validation for the authentication. And then once it's done, let's just click publish. We will also add security rules sa ating cloud storage. So we can do that by going to the storage section. And then we will click the rules tab. Tapos, we will just replace the default rule with the rules na nasa step 13 ng ating Firebase Web Codelab. So, ang ginagawa lang ng rule na ito is to allow each user to write only to their specific folders. It allows anyone to read from the cloud storage, and it makes sure that the files uploaded are images, and the size of these images are restricted to a maximum of 5 megabytes. So once na-paste yun na yung rules, you can just click publish to deploy the changes. Our next step is to collect performance data using the Performance Monitoring SDK. So the performance monitoring helps us to understand where and when the performance of our app can be improved. Since we included yung Firebase performance and init.js sa index.html natin kanina, we just need to add one line of code to tell performance monitoring to automatically collect page load and network request metrics kapag binisita na ni user yung ating deployed site. So let's just look dito sa dulo. Hanapin natin yung to-do about the Firebase performance monitoring. And let's just paste the code na firebase.performance. Note lang na performance data usually display within 12 hours. So kung hindi nyo pa siya nakikita, balik kayo after 12 hours to see yung mga metrics. Ang last step naman natin is to deploy our app using Firebase hosting. Punta lang tayo sa ating terminal and then make sure na nasa WebStart directory kayo. And then let's deploy our files using Firebase deploy --except functions. So, ang ginagawa nito is everything na nasa public directory nyo is ina-upload niya kay Firebase. And then, once uploaded na siya, you should be able to visit your web app that is now fully hosted using Firebase hosting using the Firebase subdomains na ma-generate. So for me, I selected the hosting URL and then pasted sa browser. And then let's now try to send message. And as you can see, hindi ako makakapag-send ng messages kasi hindi ako naka-sign in. And then, same goes when I upload images. Let me sign in with my Google account. And then, I'll send the message again. You can now share this deployed web app to your friends and try nyo mag-chat using this Firebase web app na ginawa ninyo. So congratulations for completing today's code lab about Firebase Web, kung saan natutunan natin kung paano gumamit ng Cloud Firestore for storing your structured data and cloud storage for storing your images. Natutunan din natin kung paano gamitin yung Google Sign-in authentication method using the Firebase authentication. Natutunan din natin kung paano mag-deploy ng web app using the Firebase hosting. We also learned kung paano mag-send ng notifications gamit ang Firebase Cloud Messaging. And also, natutunan natin kung paano kolektahin yung performance ng ating web app. So thank you for attending today's activity about Firebase Web. And hopefully, we'll see you again sa ating Day 3 ng ating Firebase in Action about the serverless development with Firebase. So thank you everyone and have a pleasant evening to all of you.
Let's check out the solution challenge.
Let's do this.
Okay, I'll present my screen.
Welcome to the Google Developer Student Club's 2021 Solution Challenge. The mission of this challenge is to use Google technology to solve for one of the United Nations' 17 Sustainable Development Goals, aiming to end poverty, ensure prosperity, and protect the planet. Win cool prizes, mentorship from Google, and swag. Get help along the way from Google at training events, code labs, and hackathons. Submit your solution by March 31st, 2021. Register today. We can't wait to see what you build.
Let's get started.